Welcome back to episode 11 of Real Business Roundtable. Today, what are we talking about?
Today we're talking about why your business idea sucks.
Yeah, we're going to talk about how to come up with a good business idea and how to, essentially figure out if your business idea is a good idea or not, and all the steps it takes and that sort of stuff. So essentially, what you think there's how many different aspects of your business idea should you be looking at in order to make sure it's a good idea?
Well, every single business idea has an anatomy, and you have to have that anatomy and that guide in your brain rather than just kind of thinking, oh, I think this would be a good idea and I just want to do it. You have to sort of step back and analyze all those attributes, the full anatomy of a business, to see how viable it is, how likely it is to succeed. And rather than jumping in and then learning a year or two in, oh, geez. And this came from experience.
Yeah.
I've done it. I've jumped too quick. When I did the voiceover thing, totally a flop.
Yeah. I think, not every business idea is going to work out no matter what. If it's an amazing idea, sometimes it just doesn't work out. And that, and if that happens, you got to take advantage of that. You got to look at it. You have a good perspective on it. You got to make sure it's just a lesson learned. Take what you've learned from that and go on to the next business idea. Don't let that stop you. But, let's talk about exactly like how to figure out if it's a good idea, stuff like that.
So when you're thinking about, let's say you went to school for business, or you're just naturally an entrepreneur, you want to start something. Excuse me. You want to look at first, who are you selling it to? How many, or you should say the market size. What does the market size look like? Are we talking about a group within a certain, let's say you're selling a product for a specific sport or an accessory. You have to think to yourself, how many people, how big is that market? So before you go all in and then start spending money, or let's say you get a business loan or you find investors, you have to look at how big is that opportunity? Are you selling to businesses? Are you selling to consumers, everyday people? If so, everyday people, how big is that group? That's going to dictate the level of success that you can reach. That's the first thing you need to look at.
Well, not the first thing. When you're coming up with a business idea, you need to understand what your business is doing. You need to understand if it's solving a problem. You need to figure out, what that problem is. Then you got to figure out if people are going to pay for it. Will you pay for your business? Will you pay for the product or the service that you're providing? Then you got to figure out the price point, and that's kind of what you're talking about. But before any of that, I feel like just, I have hundreds of ideas that I've just written down of business ideas. And do I know if every single one is going to work? But if I feel good about one, I'm going to set up a whole business plan, make sure that, it is a good idea, make sure that it is going to solve a problem that can be marketed to people and in the people that you're talking about.
Yeah. So the first thing I look at, so if I'm watching Shark Tank and I see all these people pitching ideas, I can immediately go, okay, small market, big market, huge opportunity. Oh, too niche. How big is it?
Yeah.
That's when you're talking about the potential growth of a business, forget about the solving the problem piece. At that point, you want to look at the potential of that problem solving.
Yeah,
that's what I'm referring to.
No, I understand, but you got to have the business idea before you look at the demographics.
Sure, yeah.
That's what I mean. That's what I'm saying,
Oh, okay, so, let me step back. I was referring more towards what makes it a good idea.
Aspects. That's one aspect to a good business idea, making sure you know your demographic, making sure you understand the market, but you have to come up with the business idea before you, figure out the market.
Sure, and also, you want to look at what is the life cycle of that customer. This is a big one. If you're selling a product, sell that product, and you get paid for that product, what continued revenue could come as a result of them buying that product? Are there upgrades? Are there accessories? Are there replacement pieces? Then we're talking about a physical product. We're going to talk about a service. Is there maintenance services? Is there upkeep? Something like that. So if you're providing a service, make sure, and there's nothing wrong with a one-time sale, but it's always better to grow a business and have a better business if there is reoccurring revenue coming in your door. That's That's the key to a good business, is that revenue, because revenue is the lifeblood of a business.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes, and again, I wanted to create this episode because sometimes I'll talk to people, they'll have a business idea, and I'll immediately do all the calculations in my head and looking at the market and the potential and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, we need to relook at things. And sometimes it's challenging because someone might be passionate about something, but it might be too small. And there's nothing wrong with that, but they need to understand that making that business that has a small market and is too nichey, that it may not ever blow up to a level that they might think.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, when it comes to being too nichey, I mean, we'll talk about that in the next episode, but it's all about how you market it. But going back to what I was saying, never be afraid to play devil's advocate with your business idea. Every time I hear a business idea, like if you come to me and you say, hey, what about this? The first thing I do before I'm like, oh, that's an amazing idea. Of course, it's probably a good idea, but you got to play devil's advocate. You got to think about all the negatives, because you're going to be, marketing to people who don't believe in the business the same way that you do. You started the business, but you have to put yourself in the customer's shoes. You have to understand your business. You have to, the ins and outs, kind of like what you were saying, the maintenance. You have to get all that down in the business plan before you even start to market it, before you even go and get the LLC. Just understand your business in and out before you do anything, because that will, give you the ability to be able to market it and to be able to be prepared and prepare yourself for what it's going to take starting into this business.
Yeah. So the first thing when it comes to the business itself and what you do, yes, you want to make sure that you're providing some form of value. You're solving a problem. You're filling a need. You're fulfilling a want, a desire. When it comes to like luxury products and things like that, one luxury pair of jeans is going to cost, $600 versus, a cheap pair of jeans for $20. What's the difference?
Yeah.
It's that luxury product.
Yeah.
That luxury product is going to command a higher ticket. Now you're selling to a smaller market with more disposable income.
Yeah.
So when you're solving a problem, you need to figure out, okay, what is the trade-off when it comes to value? If the person goes with this product or service, what are they, aside from solving, are they saving any money? Is there a benefit? Like, why would they go with that product or service rather than what else is available? So
now, see, I know we bring this up a lot, but now you're talking about something that I can tie in commoditization. So I have a question for you. Let's say, so as a business owner who's starting up their business, they're trying to price it. They're trying to make sure that it's at a good price where people can get it. It's easily obtainable for people. How do you stay away from commoditization while trying to make it more affordable so that it's more attractive? Let's say at the beginning of the business, right? Is that a bad perspective to have? Or is that like...
No, not at all. So if you're trying to stand out and decommoditize a commodity-like business, you want to focus on leaning more towards the value, making yourself more valuable, making yourself a little bit more different, doing things that the competition, which is another thing you should look at.
Yes.
Look at like, okay, I'm going to provide this product or service. What am I up against?
I can't believe I didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
But at the beginning of the business, right when the inception of the business, you have to understand your competitors as well. I didn't mean to cut you off, but
yeah, you have to look at, okay, what am I up against? Who's selling a similar product, similar service? So like we just dealt with this right now with AI technology that we have. We were told by a prospective client that they're using this other AI, and it was like 1/16 of what we have.
Yeah.
And this company is very established, and it was good to see a somewhat competitive entity out there that is, has something that is less at a smaller level. So like that puts us in a good place. So we're like, okay, now we're less of a commodity because we have the most functionality, the highest level of performance, the most advanced technology out there, capturing the most data.
Yeah.
So like when we were looking at a competitor, and this is what makes it relevant, is that you can see a competitor who's doing very well, has a somewhat inferior product, and then we have something that's much better. And that's how you decommoditize yourself, by you provide more value. For example, like the lookalike audiences, but then also scraping live data from live customers, what's going on here and now.
Yeah, not to get too into the technology, but yeah, I make sure your value is obvious, because in this situation, the value is obvious. It's the number of sources, that just all that stuff is very obvious to the person that we're talking to the prospect.
Yeah, we don't have to talk about the tech. Let's talk. Okay, let's just give, like we were talking about earlier, a cleaning company.
Yeah.
Yes, a boatload of cleaning companies out there.
Exactly. So I'm curious, because a cleaning company among many other companies, like a realtor. Let's talk about that, because there's way more realtors in every single city.
You could talk about any industry.
How do you this is a good question, because honestly, for me, the only way that I can, so essentially what I'm asking is, how do you make yourself different? So, and I know we're kind of getting away from the original aspect. This kind of ties into it, but the original topic, but so for a realtor, for example,
so if someone,
how do you make yourself different? How do you make yourself different other than marketing yourself differently?
so you would first look at, how does the industry behave? What do they do? What do they do that does not serve the client? What do they do that let's say annoys the client? So for example, if, like, say a real estate company wanted to be different, they would make their agents do things that were very proactive at helping that customer choose the best home for themselves.
So maybe a type of technology, a software potentially?
Yeah, like there's some real estate companies out there that will send you a feed automatically every single day of the latest homes listed for sale. And you get to kind of get that feed automatically. So that shows a level of customer service that would separate that real estate agency from another one, where you're proactively pushing those listings, versus, a busy person, they're going to work every day and they have to keep looking on MLS and trying to find that house. Provide extra customer service, help as much as possible.
One thing that I just thought of while we were talking about this, in the, I don't want to get too deep in this specific industry, but for example, one thing that I've noticed when looking for apartments or looking for a condo or whatever house is, some businesses just, provide pictures and this and that, just basic information, but then other companies, other realtors will provide like a 3D walkthrough, or like a really, good video. And that's an aspect that makes them different. It's more information. Added value, more engaging. So when you are creating a product or creating a business, try to make yourself different in a way that's like more engaging when you're marketing yourself. Again, we should talk about this in the next episode, but make your pitch, your advertisement, your socials more engaging.
Yeah, just follow. The best thing that I can recommend is to be as different as possible at any cost, to separate yourself from the competition, because that will make your business idea extremely viable.
Yeah.
You'll be positioned for success. If you think about it, you go back. I can look at back when a lot of real estate agents would think that the internet's a fad. Oh, we don't do that. And this one real estate guy, I've never worked with him. I don't know him personally. I just know of the success story. He was the first adopter to push on the web. He created a website that worked as a resource, an online MLS that anybody could go on his website and search homes for sale. This is before Zillow. This is before Realtor. This is before any of these websites. He was the first guy to ever do this. He blew up. You see his signs everywhere. He owns a bunch of commercial real estate, and I respect what he did, because this was back when people would think that the internet is a fad and they would just do their newspaper ads and the BS. And he jumped on the opportunity, which exploded him. So he separated himself from the competition by making his website extremely resourceful, like a tool. Mm-hmm. It was like Amazon. Back then, it was like going through Amazon and shopping for a home. Those sites did not exist.
Yeah.
He hired a development company. They developed out the whole website and everything, and people would just go to that website and just research homes for sale. Now everybody does it.
Yeah.
But basically, it was like a Zillow before Zillow.
Yeah.
So he separated himself by doing that, providing that value, making his website resourceful.
Yeah. So I kind of want to go back into originally what we were talking about, just so that we don't veer away too far from the original
I think
topic.
We're on topic. It's all
Yeah.
relevant.
No, it is 100%. But what I'd like to talk about a little bit is, trying to how to understand your market. So essentially at the inception of your business, you want to understand your market. You want to know what you're going to price it at. You want to understand if it's part of a niche, stuff like that.
Okay, so when it comes to pricing, you want to decide, okay, what's the high end? What's the low end? My opinion, personally, is it's always better to be the medium priced business.
I guess it all depends on what you're
offering.
providing.
Well, if you're going to sell a luxury product, now your market gets squashed. Now you're dealing with a smaller group of people. Now you have to rely and hope that that smaller market buys.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, you'll get a higher ticket. You'll get higher revenue per customer. But then you also got to realize that that's the higher the price, the more difficult the choice, the more of a chin rub.
Yeah.
Should I buy that? Versus you show it to someone, they're like, it's a no-brainer. Let me buy it.
Yeah.
That drives volume.
Yeah.
That drives revenue to the next level. So my school of thought, me personally, is I like to price things in the middle, where you're not the cheapest guy in town, you don't look like shit, and you're not the most expensive guy price gouging your clients.
Yeah.
That's my philosophy to have a business set up for success.
Yeah.
Now, it does not mean you don't have a higher end option, but options are the key to having a great business idea, is not just one thing. So if you have a product, just like the iPhone, they have different levels of the iPhone, and they probably have the world's highest end consultants that give them this advice. They have options, present options, don't present just one. So you should have an average, a better, and a best.
Yeah.
That is the foundation when it comes to selling a product within a business or selling a service within a business, is give them options.
Yeah. So that kind of builds off what I was going to say, or leads into what I was going to say. So if let's say a company or someone is trying to start a business with revolving around one product, I've seen it very successful. I mean, look at all these like kitchen products. Like what's that sponge thing? The smiley face sponge.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about? So there's that one product that blew up.
But I'll tell you why that one product blew up.
Hold on to that. So, but when you're starting a business and you want to provide, you have one product that you're like, I want to share this with more people. I want to sell this product. Make sure that the best way to make sure you're able to reach as much of your market as possible is to not only provide that one thing, but make sure there's accessories with that one thing. Make sure there's just a bunch of other products that are revolving around that one main product. For example, there's so many different businesses that I could say like Manscaped. Their whole thing was that razor, was that proprietary razor. And then they created all these other products around it.
Yep.
And now they're a massive company. They're one of the fastest growing companies.
Mm-hmm.
And they did that because they marketed themselves properly. They made themselves different. Go onto their website, go check out their ads. They are different. Use that as an example. Mm-hmm. And they created accessories around that razor that was part of their inception.
No, but one thing to keep in mind is, and I want to get back to the...
Yeah,
you said Scrub Daddy?
Scrub Daddy, yeah.
So I want to get back to that, but the thing to consider if you're selling a product like a razor or something like
just
that, or
a single product, yeah.
You have to think, when you're thinking of this business idea, what is the life of that product? When would someone likely need another one? Or would they need an accessory to it? Once you open up that door, now you can sell them other products.
Start a subscription out of it.
Exactly.
There's so many different ways. That's also another thing that we can go back on, but yeah.
And then, so in regards to like Scrub Daddy, which is a great product, I'm a customer. The reason why that blew up and it was such a great business idea and it's one product is because it's a consumable. That's what everybody needs to understand, is that if your product idea is a consumable, if it's toothpaste, if it's deodorant, if it's food, bless you.
Disposable.
If it's food, it's okay. Hey, we keep it real.
If it's disposable?
Sam sneezed.
Are you saying consumable or disposable?
Either or.
Yeah.
If anything is disposable or is used and consumed, like a sponge, those sponges do wear out. They wear out after a little bit. You got to buy another one. It is a consumable. And here's the other piece that makes it super successful. It's who doesn't wash their dishes?
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
Some people might not, but I'm just saying most people wash their dishes, which is multiple millions. The market size for that, you could go international. We're talking about billions of people that could buy that product. Now, that is an amazing business model. And I always say, when it's like stuff like that, I always think of the old Walmart saying, stack them high and deep and sell them cheap. It's a small, little, cheap, inexpensive. People don't think twice about buying that or not buying that. They'd be like, oh yeah,
It's cheap. It's easy.
it's a sponge.
Yeah.
People need that to wash their dishes. So that is an amazing example. So think about this. Is it a consumable? Are you selling to billions of people? What is the need? Like, is it something that someone would need? Yes, people need to wash their dishes. So you want to sort of think with that brain, like, are you selling something that someone would continuously need? And that makes for great reoccurring revenue.
That should all be part of your business plan when you're developing your business. Another thing is how to structure your business. This kind of ties into what we were saying last. I'm going to use the example again, Manscaped. I hope we don't, get in trouble for talking about them too much, but
no, but this is like business case study talk.
yeah. So with Manscaped, majority, or there's so many different examples we could use, but with them, they're making majority of their money off of the accessories because they're selling that product, and then everything that is used with that product is being sold every single month. Oh, another one. Oh my God, what is it called? Dr. Squatch. I want to talk about them in next episode. Next episode, we're going to be talking about how to utilize digital, like all that sort of stuff, how to grow your company with digital. Dr. Squatch, they provide soap and, shampoo, but they started off, I may be wrong, but I'm pretty sure they started off with that bar soap, and they're going crazy because they started that subscription business. I'm tying this all into how to structure your business. Is it one-time sale? If it is one-time sale, have accessories. Is it subscription based? The structure of your business. And so for them, for Dr. Squatch, they were selling this bar of soap, and then they added on a bunch of different accessories. People were loving that soap. So then they added the shampoo and conditioner, and then they added the deodorant, and then they added so many different accessories around this one product. And what they did was they started a subscription business.
And the problem that they're solving and the need that they're fulfilling, which is a guy like me that I don't want to put chemicals on my body that are going to cause havoc on my endocrine system.
It's natural, which is trending recently, and it also smells fucking awesome. But like I was saying before, they created a subscription around that product. So now, now the customer, it's easier for the customer. The customer doesn't have to go to their website and order every single month, or I don't know how quickly you use a bar of soap, but like every other month or whatever it is. Now it's a subscription, and people naturally don't want to go and dig and cancel that subscription. They're just going to keep it forever
because it's something that they need.
It's something that they need. So you created a beautiful structure for your company that helps with retention, that helps with repeat customers, return customers. That is a big part of the inception of your company, as well as the structure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So if the product is a consumable, that's really good. And again, we called this episode "Why Your Business Idea Sucks," just because there's so many bad business ideas. We just want people to think first before they execute.
Create a business
and help people avoid spending so much money and wasting money and failing. I know people talk about, failing, blah 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 is good. I'm not a fan of that. I don't really think that should be a goal, is to fail. Yeah, you learn from your failures, but why go through this process just to fail and waste a bunch of money and waste other people's money that might be investors? That's not what you want to do. You want to put together something and put thought into, is this set up for success? Have I done my due diligence? Have I looked at the entire anatomy of a business, and through my understanding of business, is this set up for success? Because at the end of the day, you want it to be successful.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, you just said that, but not all businesses succeed. Me and you, we've both started businesses that did not work out, and that's okay.
Yeah.
If that's never the plan for a business to but if it does, please.
And I learned from that.
I learned from it.
I was
have a good perspective on failing, because I've heard a couple things where it's like 1 out of 6 businesses eventually work. So you got to start 36 different businesses to have a good, a good amount of, you know what I'm saying? But just if a business fails and you're thinking, oh, it was a great idea, just, it's okay. Take something away from it. Take lessons away from out of the failure. But I want to talk about something else. So one of the most important aspects when starting a business is you got to make sure that you're passionate about that business. If you're not passionate about the product or the service that you're providing, it is most likely not going to work out, because I can tell you this, if you don't feel like you're not working when you're working on this business, then you're not going to want to keep working on it. If it's going to feel like a drag, you know what I mean? You know what I'm trying to say? Like, you got to have passion in what you do. If you don't, it's most likely going to fail.
Yeah. You have to believe in it.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, the real belief, and you be like, yes, I want to do this.
You have to have faith. Faith is so important. You have to have faith in what you provide, faith in the service that you do. Yeah.
Another thing, when it comes to a business idea, there have been people who have, they say something and you have to check the legality of the business.
Yeah.
Someone might have some crazy business. They don't realize that they need to get certain licenses.
Yeah.
They have to register with the state or the federal government, research the legality. I've had people just say business ideas to me, and maybe they're, some type of offshoot of investments or financial advice, but it's not direct. It's kind of gray area. You question the legality of that. You want to make sure that it's legal.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Especially when you're marketing it.
Yep.
You don't want to put a banner up and start going online and saying all this stuff and then eventually you're just gonna get screwed. But another part of starting up a business and making sure that it's a good idea is testing it to make sure that that whatever you're gonna do, you're gonna be able to fulfill and this and that. So, for example, when I first started doing marketing, social media marketing, I went out to a couple different businesses and I did it for free. I was in the position where I was able to. Well, I was in the position where I was able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I did was I went to a business and I said, listen, I'm going to do what you normally would pay for. I'm brand new in this. I'm trying to create a case study. I'm trying to get some reviews. Let me do this for you for free. All you have to do is pay for the ads and, this sort of stuff. And I tested it out to make sure I was going to do it right.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Testing and research is very important before you come up with the idea, and then you think about all these things. You think about the market size, the opportunity. Is it a consumable? Is it a one-time sale? Are there going to be accessories? You have to plan this all out. And one of the phases is testing and research. Ask your friends. Ask your family.
And make sure you're gonna accept criticism.
Yeah, make a post on Facebook and just say, hey guys, hopefully most of them are your friends and they give a shit. Hey guys, what do you think of this? Any feedback? Another thing that's important is if you have a killer idea or some type of product before you go public or whatever with it, I always advise trying to patent it. And I know that patents have expirations, but it's always good to protect yourself, especially if it's something really unique that could be knocked off.
See, it's tough to say when you should do that.
Because, it is tough. Yeah.
Because some people in certain situations, they don't have a lot of money when they start these businesses. Their motivation is to get more money, to get that financial freedom, and so maybe they don't have the money to go out and patent a product. But once you do start to see some trend, and you got to make sure that you're protecting yourself overall.
I had an idea a long time ago when I was, 22. I called it Unicom.
Oh, I think you've told me about it.
And I went to this product development company, and it was called Unicom, and it was a technology that centralized all communication. So back then, people had home phones. So it was home phone and then cell phone. So basically, there would be a home base little charging unit that you would put all the family cell phones in. And then there would be one central phone, but it would all be linked. So let's say there was a family of four. There would be charging stations for 4 cell phones, and there'd be a main family phone. So when people leave for the day, they take their cell phone, but they would call the family's line and hit extension 2 for Tom, extension 3 for Joe, I called it Unicom. So I went to this like office and they were hooked up with like patent attorneys and stuff like that. And they did their research and they were like, yeah, that idea is already owned by one of the world's biggest.
Yeah.
But yeah, whatever. I had an idea and but I was nervous. I remember being nervous about, should I try to patent something and I went out there, we signed a document that they couldn't take the idea, but they showed me proof that it's already in the works, like that's already owned IP. And I was like, oh, okay. But another thing I think we should talk about with a business is the business's chances of growing from like, say, scalability.
Yeah. Scalability is a huge aspect you got to look at and you got to do research on. You got to do a ton of research when you're trying to figure out the scalability of your business, because if it's not scalable, then what are you going to do?
So the science behind scalability is, for example, if you have your product of work, whether it's say it's a product or a service, the product of work, what does it require for you to deliver that product of work? Mm-hmm. The smaller that input, the more scalability chances you have. That means more profitability.
Yeah, and there's, growing, when you start a business, you're not going to have a ton of resources that you're going to want to use, like, for example, like manufacturing, especially if we're talking about a product. You're going to probably start making that product in your garage, in your kitchen, wherever it may be. But
3D printing.
Yeah, 3D printing. But, there's a lot of resources when it comes to manufacturing and, creating more inventory to, keep up with the demand and stuff like that. It's all supply and demand, but you got to make sure that your product is going to be able to get manufactured. Mm-hmm. You got to make sure that you understand that process and that you're able to get that manufacturing.
It reminds me of an old case study that I remember I learned in business school was Dell Computers. That's what put Dell Computers on the map, was he made computers made to order. What did he do? He was different. He didn't have a ton of inventory. He separated himself from the competition, where he would position as, where customers can custom order a computer.
Yeah.
But it was a good business decision because he didn't have warehouses full of inventory of computers just sitting there.
You just create a custom computer.
People would call in. So that was a huge success for him.
Yeah. So I don't know if you want to move on to the next little topic, but essentially I'd like to talk a little bit about how to come up with a good business idea. Mm-hmm. How to, let's say someone's in a position where they're working, a full-time job and they want to find more supplemental income. Maybe they want to leave that 9 to 5 and they want to start up a new business. There's so many different things that you can do, but essentially, how do you come up with a business idea? Right. So I have a couple different points that I want to mention. So like I had said before, if you have a passion in your business, it's more likely to strive. It's more likely to grow. So you essentially got to look at, what do you have a passion in? What are you passionate about? There's so many different types of businesses out there. It's not ending. It's infinite. There's so many different things you can create a business out of. So what are you passionate about? Is essentially the first thing that I wanted to bring up. And then you were going to say something?
I was going to say that necessity is the mother of invention. That's a term that's used when you are just living your day-to-day life and you feel like you need something, or let's say you're leaning on this chair and it hurts your elbow. Like, oh wow, wouldn't it be interesting to sell pads for armchairs for, let's say, people that want to lean on the hard wood, make little pads that you can put on there that stick to the wood, that won't damage the wood.
That was going to be my second point. What do you wish existed? So let's say you're into something, you have a passion about something, right? What do you wish existed within that passion, within that hobby? Exactly what you were just saying.
Yeah. So like, when you're living your day-to-day life, just pay attention to things that might frustrate you. For example, I'm always dropping my cell phone in the side of my car seat all the time.
I have a blocker for that now.
I keep thinking about those guys from Shark Tank, and I'm like, I should just buy one of those things. And I'm just like, I never get to it. I forget about it. But like, yeah, that's necessity. That's like, you're solving that problem. Like this stuff like that.
Another good example was, nowadays you'll see in bathroom doors, especially during COVID, you'll see like a bathroom doors and they'll have
the foot
thing.
Yeah.
There's a little there's like a square thing with teeth at the top where essentially you can pull the door out with your foot.
Yeah.
And that was very smart. You know what I mean?
It's
so smart. And then you see those, you've probably seen an advertisement for those like keychain things where it's like a hook. It's like a plastic hook, literally 3D printed, and you put it on your keychain, and you can you hold it with your hand, and you can press anything, and you can open doorknobs with it. It's just an extension from your hand, so that you don't have to touch anything. There's so many different things you can do.
Yeah.
You mentioned 3D printing. I mean, I've seen so many different. I love these videos where I see people like just coming up with stupid designs for stuff. They just have a passion in building stuff, and they just create a stupid design, to help, drink a beer faster, shotgun a beer. Or they help you with, without using your hand, or so many different things. And what about the bowl with a straw in it, so that when kids eat cereal, they can drink cereal? Like there's so many different things you can do.
Yeah, just everyday things that you do and you experience. You'll see like little signs.
Yes.
Little like glimmers. Oh wait, that would make a cool product.
And this kind of ties in with the law of attraction too, right? Let's say, so the law of attraction kind of in the back of your head forces you to, okay, so let's say you want to start a new business. Now listen to us. We're saying find something that you're passionate about, and then find something within that passion that is not available today. Mm-hmm. So now you're going to be, thinking about it in the back of your head. Like, I wonder what I could do with this. And I wonder what, I wish I had something that would do that.
Like my business partner, Jay, comes up with ideas for a certain industry, but the only issue is that the market's so small, and he's just like, it's like a hobby thing, and he's just like, he doesn't, you kind of like, you get excited at first, but then the thing that like the big kick in the butt is like, it's not that many people that would want it, but it would solve a problem. But you're like, okay, it's not really a viable idea because there's not as many people, but it's a great idea.
Yeah.
So that's where the market size comes in.
When you have an idea, talk to people, around you. You have to play devil's advocate. Me and you have both had conversations about like, oh, this would be a good idea. And the second you tell me about that business, I don't go into, oh, that's an amazing idea, because it's a good idea, but where are the downfalls? Where are the negatives? Because you gotta balance those out. You gotta make sure that it is a good idea, and you gotta take that criticism. You can't take it to heart. It's about your idea. You gotta accept that criticism and make sure that, the friends and family that you're talking to about this idea, if they all say it's great, go all in. But if there's some people who say negative stuff, don't be like, oh, what the fuck? Like, this was an amazing idea. What are you talking about? Like, you're stupid. Like, they're not. They're a customer. They're going to be a customer.
And one thing for everyone to keep in mind is don't get discouraged. If you're going through these items like scalability, is it a one-time sale? Is it a reoccurring sale? Is it a consumable? What does the competition look like? When you're going through this list, you can change and augment that idea so it better fits your goals. Because ultimately, when you start a business, most people want to see that business grow. And we're just trying to give you guys tips to help you avoid those pitfalls where you might do something and waste a lot of resources.
Yeah.
So look at those things. If you find something that's off, find something that's a little bit different. For example, me and my business partner came up with an idea. I can't discuss the idea yet fully, but it was an idea for an app. Mm-hmm. But the app could not be used on iPhone. But what did we do?
What you're talking about, yeah.
We researched the market for Android. And even if we got 1% of that market, it's still...
I didn't even know that.
It's still a nice payday. So
funny.
I'm like, all right, yeah.
That's a perfect example. When you guys told me about that idea, I was like, come on. Like, I was like thinking like
super busy people will need that.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. Oh. But there are some yeah.
Yeah. So
I don't want to get to, I want to say something, but I don't want to get too into the idea.
Yeah, I don't want to get into the idea because someone could literally steal it and
it's
make it.
It's a great idea,
seconds.
but there are, like I said, when you're talking, there's going to be negatives about any business. You got to make sure you accept those.
That was a big negative. That iOS, you can't use it on iPhone. Yeah. So
patent, you got a patent. No, but where were we going with that?
So you always have to look at what?
Don't take it to heart when someone said, yeah, that's what you're saying.
Yeah, the idea was presented. It got we talked to an expert in the whole app world, and he shot it down from an investor standpoint and said, no one's going to want to invest in this because it's only for Android.
Yeah.
And I said, well, what if we just fund it ourselves and just sell the shit out of it?
Yeah.
And I was like, and I analyzed the market size. I'm like, 1% is insane. Not maybe not for the Silicon Valley company, but if you look at the numbers, that's a huge chunk of change. And why not? Just maybe it's good to do it because maybe so many people that might have thought of it didn't do it. So I'm going to tackle that. And this is going to allow me to segue to the next topic.
What is your next topic?
Synergistic businesses.
Okay, yeah.
Synergistic business ideas. I'm going to give you a great example. I meet a lot of business people every single day. I'm talking to entrepreneurs, talking to business owners. And I met with a business owner who worked for a Fortune 500, big technology company. And he was telling me, I started this business because I watched the technology company that was my employer shoo away business that was not big enough for them. So to his mind, he's adding up all this business that this huge company's turning away. And he's like, $1 million here, $1 million here, $1 million here. Holy crap, these companies have no one to go to because it was a very specific service. It had to do, I don't want to get into too much. But
I get what you're saying.
It had to do with technology lenses.
Okay, yep.
The lenses on cameras, the lenses on cell phones. So this guy literally created a monster company, not a Fortune 500, but in my mind, a monster small business out of fulfilling the clients that were turned away by this huge company. And he goes, I know how this fucking equipment works. I know how to do this stuff. I know the engineers that know how to do this. And the employer didn't give a shit.
I was going to say, be careful with that.
No.
That's
They didn't.
idea,
he got permission because they're like, we don't want that business. That's too small.
Yeah.
So he's like, all right, I'm going to serve them on the side. Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
Exploded. Dude, he's doing so well.
Oh, yeah.
I met with him and he's like doing multiple millions in sales. I was like, what's your average ticket? He's like, at least 800,000. I'm like,
God
and
damn.
he's like, I don't know about growing. Yeah. So he's like one of those big success stories. So you want to think about business ideas that are synergistic to an employer. Say you're working somewhere, right?
Synergistic. You got to be careful with that, though, because you don't want to take your employer's clients already.
No. I'm talking about synergistic, meaning complementary.
Yeah.
Complementary to it, something that your employer does not want to provide, and you feed off of that. I've met other entrepreneurs, too, that have done that successfully. Just make sure and you clear it with your employer.
Yeah.
You say, hey, you don't want to provide this. I have an idea to start a side company to fulfill these needs. Most of them will go, well, we have no intention on fulfilling that, so go ahead.
Yeah. It's touchy, but
when you're working within an industry, you will discover little things here and there that the client wants and the company's not providing. And that's how you decommoditize yourself. You're doing something and you're fulfilling a need that's not being fulfilled by the major players in the industry.
Yeah. So like I said before, you got to be careful with what what you say in those situations. Oh, ready? So I don't know if I should talk about this idea because I don't want someone to take it, but I want to throw out an idea and just show you kind of the discussions that,
it's about execution. Oh, after you, I got to share one idea.
Okay, so I'll make it quick.
Yeah.
Ready? So I'm sure everyone here knows crumble cookies and they know insomnia, right?
Yeah.
Imagine the same thing, but with fucking brownies.
That's a good idea. Who doesn't like?
I don't know if I should add this in.
No, it's about execution. It's about execution.
So this is the thing. So like, imagine you walk it. So you walk into a crumble cookies and they're like, and you choose which. Now, I'm not the like. I would love to have that, but with brownies.
Yeah.
There's so many different things you can do. Think about the brownies from Domino's, right? The brownie cookie things. Those are fucking amazing. There's so much stuff you can do, and I have not found a single business that does it.
Exactly.
Fuck, someone's gonna take this idea.
Nah, whatever. It's about execution.
We're gonna jump on it. It's about execution. You're right, but you had something.
I wanted to share an idea,
but did you have any negatives about? Sorry, I didn't mean to. Do you have any negatives about that? Like, there's nothing negative about it.
Who doesn't like brownies?
If you don't
like brownies, there's something wrong.
Yeah. Okay. So if you take my idea, I will fucking sue. All right. Keep going.
long time ago. And this is a great example of execution.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I came up with the idea first, because I know that doesn't mean shit because I didn't execute on it. I executed to a level, and I hit an obstacle, a big obstacle. So back when video, so like we were consulting on video search engine optimization back in the day, and video became more and more relevant when it comes to digital. And I was watching this shift from people, using CDs to streaming, live streaming. This is before freaking social live streaming. We're talking about 2005, okay?
Yeah.
Netflix was still sending CDs in the mail.
Have you ever told me about this idea?
No, but this is a crazy story.
Okay.
I'm always like always thinking and trying to think of trends coming up in the future. And I watched, and even Mark Cuban, so he sold his video streaming business. That's how he made his fortune.
Yeah.
And I was sort of like, okay, thinking about video streaming is really hot. Like it's upcoming. Why is Netflix sending CDs?
Yeah.
And I swear to you, no bullshit, and I'm not taking credit, Netflix executed. Respect, okay? I didn't have the connections or the resources or the investors to go through the obstacle that I reached. So this is what happened. I came up with, by myself, I was like, okay, what if we did video rental by streaming? And I was like, that's a really interesting concept. At that time, I could not find anybody that was doing video rental or video movie subscription on stream. So we contacted different movie groups for licensing. And this is the really sad part. I was all like, oh my God, this is going to be huge. We can take this streaming technology and put it on a website and allow people to play movies on their computer. Made a few calls to the heavy hitters, and they were talking license fees, astronomical. I don't want to quote any numbers, but multiple. I could say multiple, 20 more times, millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And I tried to negotiate a per pay-per-view license. So I said, hey, how about you give us the licenses, and every time somebody watches it, it will pay you a license. And they go, nah, it doesn't work like that. So I went to all the major movie companies, contacted their license department, and they'll answer the phone, and they'll wanna sell you shit.
Yeah.
The numbers I was being presented at that time completely discouraged me. It would take me a really long time to try to raise that capital. And I'll admit, I got discouraged, extremely discouraged, and I just trashed the idea. And then, I don't know, like a year or two later, I heard about, oh shit, Netflix is going to start doing streaming. And I'm like, oh, like I was like, oh my God, like that was something that I was trying to get in the works. Like we could already create websites and stuff like that. We had a team of developers. We had all like the technological side. It was the licensing. So building and managing that web property was not a problem. Mm-hmm. I was already equipped. I had a bunch of people on my team. It was the licensing that was the obstacle. It was extremely expensive, and I didn't have any investors or anything like that lined up. So that was an example of.
You'll hear horror stories about that stuff. I mean, look at the story. I don't know the details off the top of my head, but look at the fake teeth. You know what I'm talking about? There was a woman who created, those Halloween like fake teeth, like funky, like big, like rabbit teeth. Yeah, like buck teeth, stuff, whatever. The woman who originally created that, it was copied by someone else, and they patented it, and then they sold it for billions. So I mean, it's just
just so everybody at home that's watching knows that if you have a product and someone creates the patent and steals it from you, you do have a little bit of leverage
as long as you have proof.
First in use.
Yeah.
First in use.
But that's a whole. It's hard to say when to patent a product. You got to be careful with that sort of stuff. I mean, think about all like the beverages that have come out, and then all of a sudden, like these big monster monopoly companies come and buy it. I mean, it's a part of it is acquisition. You got to be careful. That's one aspect where I'm not an expert in it. I don't know what I could say, but we're gonna wrap up the show. So just to kind of summarize real quick. So if you have
a business idea. To make sure that business idea is set up for success, first look at the market. Who are you selling to? Is it a consumable? Is it reoccurring revenue? If not, are there accessories associated with that product? What is your long-term game plan for that product? You want to look at the competitors in the marketplace. You want to look at what issues you might have legally with that product. And also you want to look at how likely is it for someone to reuse that over and over again. Like let's say the product's like the service is almost like a utility.
Yeah.
You just want to look at all those attributes that we discussed during this episode and just take those into consideration. And if something seems off, find a way to adjust it.
Also, make sure you have a passion in it. That's another big thing. But yeah, that closes out today's topic. Thank you so much for joining us. I'd love for some of our listeners to maybe include some of their business ideas in our Instagram or in the comments below. Like the video if you enjoyed it. We really appreciate the support. Go follow us on Instagram, subscribe, everything, all that. Turn on the notification bell so that you get notified whenever we post a new video. And thank you for watching. See you on the next episode.